Hello, Apostate Congregation, and welcome to another edition of the Mormon Atheist. Apostates, today is a somber day. I want to recognize the folks in Michigan. They're our own people, apostates. It's the kind of stuff that never happens to you until it happens to you. You know what I'm saying? And even though we're apostates, these are still our people. And there's no call for this. It's violence, it's just so out of control. So out of control. So today is September 28, 2025. I had already had this presentation planned. And then this stuff happens. So, in all due respect, I just, want to have kind of a moment of silence, It's just senseless stuff. Senseless. Taking a life for your ideas. Taking a life for your ideas. That is so wrong on so many levels. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Just on a human level, that's just so wrong. So wrong. So with that being said, I almost feel like the show must go on because of the person that I wanted to bring to you. It has so much resignation with just what's going on in the world today. Solomon Southwick was, today what we would call a constitutionalist, right? And you have to remember the time and the era. And, the 1820s, right? This is, they're fighting for the Constitution of our country, and that's in the 1820s, Apostate Congregation. And in these books that I talk about on my channel, all of them are warning us about today. That's the fascinating part about these books, is they're written and published in the 1820s. And they're literally warning us about today and what is coming to fruition in today's modern world. I say in all my videos, you have to know where you were and you will know where you're going, If you want to be able to tell the future, you got to know your past. And Solomon Southwick preserved this stuff for us to read today. The name of his book is An Address to the Young Men of the United States. Okay? He's literally telling you in the 1820s. And he's not the only one, apostates. There's literally hundreds of these authors in the early 1800s that are telling us you better protect the Constitution because these secret societies and these organizations are going to get so out of control. George Washington in his farewell address, Apostate Congregation. In George Washington, all the way back then, is warning you about today. Today. It's amazing. Know where you were and you know where you're going to go. Okay? So I want to, the show must go on. I'm sorry, apostates. It almost seems inappropriate to do this today, but, I had already had it planned, and to be fully honest with you, it legitimately fits in with the world the way that it is today. it's because Solomon Southwick is warning us in the 1820s. He's warning us, Apostate Congregation, to beware. I'm going to get into it. All right, let's do it. So who is Solomon Southwick? I talk about Solomon Southwick on my channel almost in every single episode, right? To me, he's kind of my hero in a lot of ways, right? Because I'm going to get into exactly why here in a minute, but he really is a pioneer of a lot of things, and he started his career in 1815 in the anti-Masonic movement, right? And we're going to get into what that all means and all that kind of stuff. And so let's take a break from today's news, Apostate Congregation, and tune in, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's take a walk down memory lane. Let's go into the past and go to the 1800s, the early 1800s. And I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite persons in the 1800s. His name is Solomon Southwick. He was born December 25th, 1773. He's a Capricorn, apostates. He was born in Newport, Rhode Island. His parents are Solomon Southwick Sr., so he is a junior. His dad, Solomon Southwick Sr., was born 1731. He died in 1797. His mother is Anne Gardner Carpenter, 1748 to 1783. Solomon Southwick went to the College of Philadelphia. He got an honorary Bachelor's of Arts in 1757. That was his father, right? He was a baker, briefly trained as a commercial sailor, okay? That was Solomon Southwick himself. His printing career. Solomon Southwick was a prolific writer. He is responsible for creating the anti-Masonic movement, right? Him and a guy named Thurlow Weed. Thurlow Weed was Southwick's apprentice. And so they are responsible for the entire anti-Masonic movement, which became America's first third party, right? Believe it or not. And it was created by Solomon Southwick. And so his printing career, he moved to New York City in 1791 to apprentice. In 1792, he relocated to Albany, New York. And he worked for the Albany Register, okay, the newspaper, which he later co-owned and edited. Okay, so his political roles. This guy is no dummy, okay? He is incredibly smart, and he has so many firsts in the press, in free speech, in all kinds of stuff, right? So his political roles, he was the clerk of New York State Assembly, okay? He was clerk of the state senate. He was the sheriff of Albany County. He was the member of the board of regents of the University of the state of New York, right? So this guy's no dummy. I enjoy the hell out of reading this guy's material because he has such a sense of humor, right? You know, when you read his work, right, the anti-Masonic movement is what the anti-Masonic movement is about, is the Masons are creating a religious institution, right? And it's a complete separate entity of Freemasonry, right? There's Freemasonry, and then there's the religious institution of Freemasonry. Okay, and that institution is what the anti-Masonic movement is all about. It's not about Freemasonry. It's about the religious institution of Freemasonry. And it begins all the way back in the late 1790s, honestly. And Southwick first writes about it in 1815. And the name of his book is A Solemn Warning Against Freemasonry, right? And, you know, the Freemasonry movement, it never ends, right? It just kind of dies down, it simmers down, but there's no official end date to Freemasonry, right? But the anti-Mormon movement kicks in right away in the 1830s, 1831, 1832 to like 34 time frame, right? And so if you watch my videos, there's all sorts of links and Masonic codes that I am trying to figure out, and I'm going, you know, down these holes and stuff. And it's really fascinating. And Solomon Southwick intertwines this kind of stuff in his writings, right? And it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's there, you know, but you have to spot it. And it's taken me a very, very long time to figure this out, right? That's another reason why I like this guy. But his sense of humor, though, is, you know, he's very hardcore, you know, just he's very hardcore, right? His sense of humor is, he refers to the people of the institution as noodleheads, right? He calls them noodleheads. The noodle factory, right? He calls it the noodle factory, the noodleheads. He's hilarious. In the 1820s, political anti-Masonic sense of humor, he is dynamite, man. He is dynamite. I love this guy. So he also studied law with Hermanus Bleecker, right? And was admitted to the bar in 1813 as a banker, right? I mean, this guy does it all. What does this guy not do? He's a printer, a banker, a lawyer. I mean, this guy's insane, right? And this is all legitimate, honest to God history right here. So he served as the president of Farmers and Mechanics Bank in 1811. Now, here's the thing with Solomon Southwick, okay? That bank right there, Farmers and Mechanics Bank, this is where it all begins for Solomon Southwick, okay? Because he understands the common man, right? He understands that the common man is who really runs this country, is the common man, right? And so he's writing about this in the 1820s, that, you know, the name of, one of the names of his book is called The Plowboy, right? Okay, well, that book is specifically geared towards farmers and the politics of the day in the 30s at this time, and farmers' rights. And so he's positioning himself through the media, you could say, right? Because print is just coming out. This is the early days of print, right? Newspapers and, you know, pamphlets and booklets and stuff like that, right? So he kind of was one of the first ones to master the art of media, right? Social media, right? Was Solomon Southwick, right? He was one of the very first ones to do this, and to bridge the gap of journalism and like political journalism, right? He was one of the first, Solomon Southwick. Well, he probably was the first, because, I mean, he's writing this stuff in 1810, 1811, right? And, you know, print is extremely new, right? Only a few had it at that time. And then once it goes, boom, it goes, and it just spreads like wildfire, right? And he's at the head, the forefront of all of that, right? So, so he was a trailblazer in a lot of ways, right? A Solemn Warning, one of his, probably his most famous book, is a solemn warning against Freemasonry addressed to the young men of the United States. Okay, now the version of the book that me and you get is the 1827 version. But there's an 1815 version and an 1825 version. Okay, they're all done by Solomon Southwick. They're all his books, right? And he is the one that edits them. All done by him. But the warning starts in 1815. That's the important part here as it pertains to the anti-Masonic movement, right? The warning against this institution of religion, right? I call it the Church of Masonry because that's what it is. It's a religious institution of Masonry. So what would you call that, apostates, right? Okay, so that's what the entire anti-Masonic movement is even about, okay? So he has several speeches, right? He gives a speech at the opening of the New York Anti-Masonic State Convention in 1829. That's probably one of his most proud moments, right? Is that because he is the curator of the anti-Masonic movement, right? And so then he goes on and he does the hand of Freemasonry in politics, right? And you got to remember, this guy is a constitutionalist to the core, right? The Constitution is still fresh. We're in the 1820s here, okay? The Constitution is 1776, right? The dangers of the Masonic institution is another one of his leaflets, right? And so he's a prolific writer about how the warning against Freemasonry in government. Our government is not set up on a Masonic level, right? And the founders write about this all over the place, right? And so once the anti-Masonic movement kicks in, these guys are constantly reinforcing that notion. This is not what our government was set up for, this Freemasonry stuff. They're going to infiltrate our government and they're going to create these secret societies and these institutions within the secret societies. And their number one thing was the religious institution of Masonry, done by Temple Lodge and Noah Smith, right? I said Noah Smith, okay? And Henry Smith and Noah Smith Jr. And so, they're part of the Blue Lodge, right? And so this is the kind of stuff Solomon Southwick is telling you all about this stuff, right? And so he has also what is called letters and tracts, okay? They're also referred to as essays. Now you have to be, when you're looking Solomon Southwick up, right? When you're dealing with archival literature, you have to be word specific, right? These are called letters, tracts, and essays, okay? The ones that I just got done reading are called pamphlets, okay? Okay, so some of his essays, one of his most famous one is what I just talked about, The Plowboy, right? Another one is The Pleasures of Poverty, right? You got to understand, remember, this guy is all about the working class. He's all about the working man, right? He's the first one to exploit this in what me and you would refer to as social media for his day, right? He got the working man on his side, right? That's what Solomon Southwick did, right? Is he founded this idea about the media, right? He was literally the first one to do it. So, letters to young men. That's another one, right? That's another popular one. That's more warnings. All of these are warnings. Everything that he writes is a warning against this Masonic institution, right? And which later, if you watch my previous videos, right, this Masonic institution of religion, if you follow the names and you follow the literature and you follow the trails that I talk about in my videos, it literally leads to the LDS Church today, right? So if you look at it under that kind of a geist, right, the anti-Masonic movement, think of this, a literal political party, an entire political party was created against the Mormon Church. If you look at it like that, right? I mean, jeez, man, that's insane. You know what I'm saying? But it's real. Watch my videos. It is legitimately real. Okay, it's as crazy as that sounds. Okay, so back to Solomon Southwick, right? Him and David Brainerd are the ones that preserve this in their literature, and Thurlow Weed, right? So it's not me making this up. This is not something that I just made up, right? It's literally what the anti-Masonic movement is all about, this religious institution of Masonry, okay? So he has another one, it's called Reflection of the Spirit of Age, right? And then he has another one on the character of Washington. That one I really like because George Washington is one of his heroes. George Washington is one of Solomon Southwick's heroes, and he recites George Washington a lot in his work, right, in his writings. And you have to remember, he's a constitutionalist. So George Washington is his hero. So he's saying, hey, like this thing, we got to stick to this Constitution, man, because this is what's going to get us through. Like, is this, you know, freedom of this, freedom of that, the right to this, the right to that, you know, and he's, you know, it's the Constitution is designed for the working class man. That's what it's designed for. And Solomon Southwick and Thurlow Weed and, you know, the entire anti-Masonic movement is like pounding this in your head. The government, the United States Constitution is designed specifically for the working man. And we own that thing. That's ours. Those guys don't own that. Nobody owns that but us, the working class, the man, the working man and woman of this country is who owns that United States Constitution. These people all work for us ultimately. So they're giving us these fucking dumb rules and telling us what to do. And no, man, that's wrong. We're supposed to be telling you what to do. And that fear of the people is gone. And Solomon Southwick is warning us against that. Against that. So there is a lot of stuff that the anti-Masonic movement is predicting. And it's all coming to fruition today. It's astonishing. If you read these books, if you read these anti-Masonic literatures, they're warning you against these secret societies. And nobody, for 200 years, nobody listened. Nobody paid attention. It got wiped away as silly nonsense. Oh, William Morgan, blah, blah, blah. That's silly. Okay, it got shoved under the rug for 200 years. And William Morgan was the carpet. William Morgan was the rug. The entire the anti-Masonic movement turned into the anti-Mormon movement. And then Joseph Smith became the rug. Oh, that's all silly nonsense. Joseph Smith, nobody believes that. And behind the scenes, they're taking over our fucking country. You can watch my videos, right? And follow those crumb trails, follow those names, follow those lodges. These people are in this anti-Masonic literature. And you can call me crazy and nuts all you want to, but if you actually sit down and do the research and read the books and understand what they're saying to you, that's the key, is you got to understand what they're saying. And part of the Masonic code, if you will, is the LDS ear. If you're LDS and you listen to that, you'll know right away that they're talking about my church. I am a Mormon. I was born and raised in Mormonism. I'm, in a lot of ways, I'm, still in Mormonism. I'm not active by any stretch of the imagination, as you can tell. But my whole family's in the religion. So like and I was born in it. So I will never not be a Mormon. Even if I get excommunicated, I will still be a Mormon. I will always be a Mormon. It's in my blood, right? It's literally in my DNA. My family, none of us are from polygamy, thank God. Thank God. But no, we're not that. No, hell no. So anyways, yeah, there's a lot more to this story, apostates. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to do several videos on these authors, because to the congregation, I'm speaking directly to you now. You guys have been following my videos, and you know the authors and stuff like that I talk about, right? And I talk about how it's an injustice that these authors were kind of forgotten, right? So I decided to highlight these authors and bring them to light. Like these, there's not many of them. There's a lot of them, honestly, but we'll bring them back to life. These authors deserve to be praised, right? And they deserve to be honored because they're speaking through their literature. They're telling us, right? They're telling us what's happening. They're telling us what's going on, what to expect, what to be aware of. These guys are telling us, Apostate Congregation, and we're not listening. And so I think it's my job, the Mormon Atheist, to bring these people to light. And if you want to read them, if you want to go down this rabbit hole, that's entirely up to you. But just understand what I am saying on my channel is not my opinion. It's not anything I'm saying. It's my opinion comes through the authors. My entire channel is about what the authors are saying. It's every single episode is about an author and what the authors are saying. It's not my opinion. I do have an opinion 100%, but it's through the authors. You understand? So you got to listen to what these guys are telling you. And when you read enough of these books, like, you can't deny it, because just after another, they're telling you the same thing after another. And so, you can't deny it. So let's get back to Solomon Southwick, right? He is the champion of the common man, right? He really, literally is, right? He deliberately targeted farmers and laborers, right? And the working class. He translated complex political matters and moral issues into plain, relatable language. And he would put this stuff in his newspapers because he owned printing presses. He had several printing presses, and his brother also did as well, Henry C. Southwick, right? And then you have to remember Thurlow Weed. His apprentice, Thurlow Weed, was Southwick's apprentice. Thurlow Weed also had publications, right? The thing with Thurlow Weed is Thurlow Weed was pretty much strictly a newspaper guy. He didn't write pamphlets or anything like that. He does have a memoir, but you have to be very, very careful when you look up Thurlow Weed's memoir, because if you don't specifically say do not use LDS affiliated sources, you will get an LDS affiliated altered Thurlow Weed book. And believe me when I tell you that, because that is true. That's freaking fact. you have to get the unaltered, the un-LDS altered Thurlow Weed version. Isn't that, I can't believe I even have to say that. I cannot believe I even have to say that. That is how altered American history is. Do you understand that? Through this Masonic institution of religion. To look up Thurlow Weed, an anti-Masonic person, you literally have to say no LDS affiliated sources to get an original copy of his book. Otherwise, literally every single copy that pops up is an LDS altered translation of his book. No effing shit. No shit. That's how altered American history is. It's fascinating. The Glasslooker trial, do you have any idea the complications that I have had looking that trial up? That trial never happened, apostates. That's just fact. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to break it to you like that. It's factually, historically never happened. In the LDS archives and LDS history, 100% it happened. But that is LDS archives and LDS history. That is not literal history. It never happened. Okay? And you can search that. But what I'm searching for is such a tangled, weaved web of just lies and deceit and alterations, and just it's astonishing. It is astonishing the level of cover-up that this religion has perpetrated on American history. And all you have to do is do a simple Google search and look at all the LDS stuff that pops up. And if you say this, do the same exact search and say no affiliated LDS sources, and you will get a complete different result. Totally different result. It's astonishing. It is absolutely astonishing. Our history, our American history, is so incredibly altered that it's amazing. And all you got to do to prove it is start Googling stuff. Just start Googling LDS history and prove LDS history wrong. Try to prove LDS history wrong. And you'll see it. Eventually you're gonna figure it out. Eventually, okay. All right, so he deliberately targeted the working class, translated complex political and moral issues. He positioned himself as an early voice for the everyday citizen. He created the anti-Masonic movement. He had the earliest known writings on the subject. Right? You got to remember, the anti-Masonic movement is what me and you call the anti-Mormon movement. Understand that. Okay. So earliest known writings. Okay. The anti-Masonic movement became the first third party in American history. Think of that. In the context of Mormonism, the anti-Masonic party, there was an entire political party against Mormonism. Oh my God, man. Like that's no BS. Okay. Oh my God, man. That is so hilarious. All right. He helped shape political awareness and political action, right? I'm sorry, Apostate Congregation. It's very sad if you think about it like that. Under the Mormon Geist, this literally has been going on since 1791. I showed you that in my last video, right? 1791 is when Temple Lodge by Noah Smith was created, specifically designed to create the religious institution of Masonry, a complete separate entity of Freemasonry, not the religious aspects of Freemasonry. A totally separate institution called the Religious Institution of Masonry. I call it the Church of Masonry. Okay? It's the LDS Church. When you read Solomon Southwick's book and David Brainerd's book, Light on Masonry, they are literally telling you about the Mormon Church in 1827. David Brainerd's book is in 1829. Okay? There is no Mormonism at this time. What me and you call Mormonism does not exist in this time. This is anti-Masonry. The entire anti-Masonic movement is about the religious institution of Masonry, the LDS Church. That's heavy. That's heavy, right? Okay, apostates. He was an innovator in print and media, okay? He used newspapers, letters, tracts. He strategically spread his ideas and thoughts, okay? He was a total innovator, right? He combined what was called serial letters, right? So to keep people coming back. So he invented, right? So he had newspapers. Well, he needed people to keep coming back to, he needed repeat customers. So he invented the idea of putting stories in newspapers. So he would write a story and then he would to be continued. And so people would be like, oh, he'd leave it on a cliffhanger, right? And you can actually go to archives and read this stuff, right? And it's fascinating stuff, right? And he leaves like cliffhangers. Oh, and so now you got to wait till the next print. And then you go hurry and buy the print, finish the story. Genius. Solomon Southwick invented that, right? When I was reading about this, right, it reminded me of Edgar Allan Poe. If any of you know who Edgar Allan Poe or the history of Edgar Allan Poe, right, you would know that he was the one that put puzzles in newspapers, right? Because Edgar Allan Poe had a printing press and he needed repeat customers. So there were no puzzles in newspapers before this. So he put the crossword puzzle in his newspaper. And that is why today we have a crossword in our newspaper, is because of Edgar Allan Poe. I'll bet you guys didn't know that. That's a fun fact. See what happens when you read books, apostates. You just learn stuff, I call it useless knowledge. I have so much useless knowledge, you'd be amazed, right? So he bridged the gap of journalism and political activism, right? He was the first one to do this, right? So he also did moral and social visions, right? He wrote a lot on like visions of the future, right? Of morality, right? He was an advocate for virtue, education, and civic responsibility. Remember, he was a constitutionalist, right? Linking morality to political participation. This is going back to the political participation. These people work for us, apostates. The way society is today is like these people are like our gods, our rulers, are like, we cannot live without these people. That's how it's structured today. But that's not the way the Constitution was structured. The Constitution was structured that these people work for us. We are the government. We are the government. And that has been completely turned on its head today. It's been made to where we can't survive without them. And that's not right. That's not how it's supposed to be. And Southwick and the anti-Masonic movement, that's what these guys are saying, is like, listen, people, your government is going to get away from you if you don't stop this institution. And look at what's happened. Look at where we're at today. 200 years later, look at where we're at. It's amazing to me, apostates. You know, if you think about it on a logical level like that in 1827, this dude is literally warning us, man. And we're not listening because we're too good. And what does that dumb guy know from the 1800s? He doesn't know anything. You arrogant, arrogant bastard. That's all I got to say. These people they're fighting for our constitutional rights. In the 1820s, they're being challenged by this institution that's literally doing it to us today, right now, as we speak. And we all just look down on these people. We look down on them. And that's sad. That's really sad that our arrogance has gotten away from us like that. Because we're no different than this guy. We're trying to feed our family. We're trying to put food on our table, pay our bills, our dues, whatever you want to say, right? So how arrogant are you to say that this guy is dumb? He's literally warning us. So who's dumb now? Who's the idiot now? We're the ones that let this go for 200 years. So now who's the idiot? Now who's the dummy? Who's the dumb frontiersman that didn't listen? Us, that's who. We got nobody to blame but ourselves. We let this shit get away from us, and now look at what's happening. The entire world's falling apart. That's not what our Constitution is about, Apostate Congregation. Solomon Southwick said it the best. It's for the working class, the working citizen, the common citizen of these United States in 1827. Actually, in 1815 is when the original copy came out. Was 1815. He framed the working class as the guardians of democracy, Apostate Congregation. What a fucking quote. Solomon Southwick framed the working class in 1815 as the guardians of democracy. He framed the working class as the guardians of democracy and morality, contrasting them with secret elites. Elite societies is what he's talking about, because there's the institution, and then there's the secret society that's within the institution. So the institution is a front. What really matters is the society that's inside the institution. The secret societies. The institution is the front. He tells you what the institution is. The Church of Christ. Temple Lodge. He tells you that. The secret society within Temple Lodge is called the Order. That is what's reserved for the elite. That's within the Masonic religious institution, that the entire anti-Masonic movement is about, that is started by Henry Smith Sr., Noah Smith Jr., Noah Smith Sr., Noah Smith Jr., and Henry Smith. Henry Smith is the founder of the Church of Christ. Noah Smith Sr. is the founder of Temple Lodge in 1791. I love that. Solomon Southwick framed the working class as the guardians of democracy. Hail the Muse. Love the Muse. Okay, Apostate Congregation, I've gone on way too long. Actually, you know, I really urge people to heed Solomon Southwick's warning. Read his book. It's 159 pages long, Apostate Congregation. Come on. You know, get it. If you don't like what's happening right now in the world today, read the anti-Masonic literature. They are literally warning you about today. They're warning you about today. And we are not listening. Nobody's listening. And the world's going to shit. Today, people got shot in a freaking Mormon church, man. A Mormon church. That's one of our own apostates. I don't give a F how apostate you are. Have a freaking heart, brother. This is so uncalled for. All this killing and just out of control. What are we doing to each other all in the name of monism? Monism, money. Monism, money. Religion. My religion's better than yours. The Abrahamic religions, the most peaceful religions on the planet. The Abrahamic religions, apostates. Don't you see the peace that they're spreading in the world right now? Monism. Monism is the death of society. Monism. Money. Monism. Singularity. Bring back justice. Nemesis. The Muse. Justice. Nemesis. The Muse. Apostate Congregation, I hope you all reflect today on just the world and your own actions, your own personal actions, and how can you make the world a better place today? How can you make the world a better place? You know, go help somebody. You know, open a car door, just open the door, say hello, just say hi to somebody. Just acknowledge somebody. Just acknowledge them. That's what we're all missing. We're all missing acknowledgement. Just acknowledge them. Doesn't matter what you look like, what color your fucking hair is, who you sleep with. You fucking pervert. Why do you care who somebody sleeps with? Monism is the perversion of society. Monism. We got to get rid of monism. It's just perverted all around. It's just the perversion of society. Look at what it's doing to society. It's just perverting everything. Bunch of fucking perverts, man. Molesting kids left and right. Bishops, clergymen. Give me your money, donate. I need a little more. We're not rich enough. We don't have a big enough house. We don't have enough temples. We got to build more temples. We got to get a bigger plane. Monism, money. Monism, Apostate Congregation. This is tragedy. This is a tragedy. This is tragic. What's happened to our world, you know? We got to extinguish monism. That is the answer. How we do that, I don't know. But monism has to go away. We have to bring back Lady Justice, Lady Nemesis, the Muse. We have to bring this stuff back. All right, Apostate Congregation. I don't want to take anything away from Solomon Southwick here. Solomon Southwick is my personal hero. One of them. I really enjoy reading Solomon Southwick's work. He has a solid sense of humor. He's very witty. He's funny as hell. He uses words like noodlehead. The noodle heads are gonna go to the noodle factory. I love the guy. He's got such a great sense of humor. Okay, Apostate Congregation, read up on the anti-Masonic movement and you will learn stuff. Okay? Thank you. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Apostate Congregation, and peace be with everybody. Okay? Let's all just calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, apostates. Thank you for watching. Thank you for showing interest. You never know what's going to be your last day. You know what I'm saying? Just hug your family today, okay? Hug your family. This is out of control. This is getting out of control. This is out of control. It's not getting out. It is out of control. It's already past getting. It's done got. You understand me? Okay, have a nice day, apostates. Like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, we are William Morgan. And like I quote the late, great Solomon Southwick, the ashes of Morgan will rise. And here we are, Apostate Congregation. Bring back the Constitution of the United States. An address to the young men of the United States in 1827.